Hey guys, what's up? Evan here. So today I decided to do something a little bit different. I went on a tier list maker and I made this Ultraman 1966 Kaiju tier list, which you guys are free to use on tierlist.com. And basically we're going to be going through and ranking all the Kaiju from 1966 Ultraman and deciding where they rank in terms of design primarily. If there's an episode that's super good that warrants it, we might look at it, but I think we're doing mostly just designs. So we got U for Ultra, of course, and the rest is just standard S, A, B, C, D, and F for the worst of the worst, which I don't think there are going to be many Fs, but there might be. So thanks for supporting. I just want to do something a little bit different this time. So let's do this tier list. So Bemular. Bemular is, of course, the first one, and this also is in chronological order from bottom to top. So when you guys do it, you can figure out which episode is which. But the first one, Bemular, I will say he is the perfect, probably B. So I think Bemular is a good one for the first one because he is probably the most basic of the basic you can look. He isn't bad, he isn't good, but that means that it sets really good expectations for the rest of the show. And it doesn't make you, like, if you went out with the S tier first, you might get really disappointed by the rest. So Bemular is the perfect B tier Kaiju, the best way to start the series, I think. So we go to Balton next. Balton is, I don't know if he's S or U. He is one of the best Kaiju. I mean, it's probably why they bring him back so many dang times in the series. You know what? I'm going to have to go U for right now. If something is better later, I'll change it up. But for right now, Balton is for sure an ultra tier level design. It's really good. All right, Naronga. You're going to see a theme here with me. I don't like these. I don't like these like Baragon almost type monsters. So he is going to see. He's not bad. I don't think it's designed poorly. I'm not a big fan of the laying down 4-foot type Kaiju. I much prefer the 2-foot or the alien type ones. So yeah, he's going straight to C. So Ragon, he is from Ultra Q. I remember that episode. It was kind of funny. He is a B. I'll say he's very clearly like a creature from the Black Lagoon, but he's not as good looking as a creature from Black Lagoon, and for that he's a B. If he was, he'd be an S. But just for being kind of a ripoff, but not as good, he's for sure a B. Alright, so we got Green Mons. Green Mons... Okay. So, this would be an F, but one of the Kaiju later is even worse, so I'm going to give him a D, because he doesn't deserve that same category. He's just a blob. You know, there's nothing really special about him. It's just a blob. The episode's pretty good. I like the episode. But his design-wise, nah, he's done. Alright, after him we got Gesra, which is another kind of like Naronga, but more, I'd say he's a little bit better. But he's not good enough to fit in with Bemular. Okay, he's staying C, but he is better than Naronga. Maybe, let's see if I can do this. There we go. So he looks better like that. Antlar. Antlar is A. He's not super good. He is just a big beetle. But they stuck to just being a big beetle. They didn't make him crazy. They didn't go overboard. He's good. They made a good beetle design, and I can respect that. Red King. Red King is a B. I think Red King as a character is cool, especially if you read the manga. He's an actual character, so it's cool to have development on his part. But in terms of design, he's kind of just... He has a weird head, I think. I think his head's too small. Yeah, I'm gonna have to leave him be. Alright, who we got after Red King? We got Chandler. No, Chandler. I don't know. Chandler. This thing's kind of ugly. I'm putting it in C. It's not the worst design ever, but it's kind of ugly. Magular. Sorry. This is a C. A lot of these are going to be C, mostly the ones like this, like I was mentioning with Naronga. I don't like the four leg design. I really don't. I can see I like the diversity, but I just don't like it. Pigmon's an F. I don't even care. Pigmon's hideous. He is one of the ugliest Kaiju they've ever designed. They keep bringing him back for jokes, but man, he is hideous. No Pigmon, please. The next one, Soufflon. This isn't even, I don't even know if you count this as a Kaiju. This is an F. This is, if I can go lower than F, this is what this would be. And I almost feel bad because it is, I don't know, Pigmon's pretty ugly. Soufflon is just a plant that's blood-eating, but they didn't... It's not a design, it's just a plant. I mean, maybe they designed a specific plant, but it's still just a plant, and... Nah, that's F. That's F. I'm sorry. Alright, next we got Gabora. He is basically, to me, Noronga with plants on his head. I'm gonna have to stay C. I'm sorry. I don't like those. Alright, GDOS, here we go. GDOS is S. Now I know what you're thinking. Oh, but it's Godzilla. It's his suit, and the thing is, I'm ready for the hate. I was never a fan of the original Godzilla designs. The original film, sure, but every film after that, up until 80s, 85, yeah, no, I don't like it. I think he looks a little too, and his mannerisms too, a little too human. So that's just for Godzilla in general. So if you take that, but Godzilla's still good. I like the design of the monster, but as a Godzilla, I was never a fan of the older ones, design-wise, as much. So it's still an S tier design of Kaiju in general. It's just not my personal Godzilla preference. But because it is a good suit regardless, with some additions on it, and it's a good episode too, yeah, I'll give it an S. It's fine. Dodongo. Yeah, that's an A. That is, to me, like... Even though it's one of the four-legged ones that I dislike, I think the way they design it, the way that the head is shaped, yeah, that's a solid A. It's a good design. It's a little basic, but again, you have Antler also for me in A. So I feel like if it's basic but they don't go overboard, you can still do a good design, and that's what they did for both of them. All right, Mummy Man over here. Mummy Man, he is either an A or a B. I think I'll put him in A because he's kind of similar to Argon in being like a Universal Monsters kind of deal, but he is more of... I think I kind of like him better than Universal Monsters, so that he's going to get an A, Wallers. Ragon's ripoff kind of gets a B. So, alright, Pestar. Pestar, this is... Okay, so he's hard because Pestar looks decent. You know, the design of itself is a bat with like some starfish. It's kind of cool. But in episode and the way it looks, you can tell it's just two dudes in each of the starfish. And yes, they're all people in suits. But I don't want to be able to see that, like, I can literally see his hand, his head, and his feet. Because it just takes me out, man. It doesn't look... No, I'm going to have to give this a D. It would be an F just because I don't like how obvious it is that it's a person in a suit. You know, like I said, person in suit, that's what they all are. And it has a good charm to it. But when it's literally like I can see that person, I can see the points. Nah, man, that's too much. I feel like you need to do a little bit to hide it, and I don't think this suit hides it well at all. It's too distracting from even his head. You can't really look at his head when you're just looking at a human's head, you know? So it has to go with D for me. Gamakujira. No, this is D. He's worse than the... No, I'm sorry, he's an F. He's better than Pigmon, but he's an F. He's just as bad. I don't like him for the sense that he's one of those, you know, 4-foot ones I'm not a fan of. But also, he's just ugly. His design is horrendous. It's like a beached whale, but it got no oxygen. It's just how it looks, you know? I don't know. I don't like it. Alright, speaking of beach things, we got Gavadon A next. So, he just looks like a dolphin that's beached and is white. So D, he's not horrible, but it's also just what is this, you know? Like, all right, but it's on purpose. It's for the episode. So we got Gavadon B after that. He is a C. He reminds me, but he's actually way higher than. He's probably around here. He reminds me of a Monster Hunter monster. He looks a lot like he fit in with Bear Arthur in that group. So I like him, but it's not enough for a B. Balton 2. Balton 2 is an S behind GDOS. And the reason is because even though it is Balton again, and Balton is a U, Balton 2, I like that he has the chest beam that he can like reflect, but I don't like how they made his head more angular. I think he looked a lot better when it was more spread out and proportionate. So, alright, Bolton next. This has to be an F. I'm sorry. But is it... It's worse than Pigmon. Okay. Bolton itself is not horrible, okay? It very much reminds me of like some Johnny Sokko, right? But it's just nothing. It's just a meteor. And even when it uses its moves in the show, it's just really random and weird. It's just like things come out of it and it flashes in the damage. I don't like it. No, not as a monster or design. I'm sorry. That might be the worst. The only reason the plants are lower is because they're just plants. But in terms of actual kaiju, he might be the worst in the whole show. Alien Zerab next. This is a low B. It would be a high C, but I want to give it a low B. Alien Zerab doesn't look horrible, but it's also just kind of like, you know, it's just a whole bunch of nothing going on. So it's because it's not bad, I'm not going to put it in C, but it's also just really, it's basically in a bad way, I think. So yeah, he's a B. Imitation Ultraman. This gets an A at least. I have to give it S. Below them too. So Ultraman himself, I would give like, of course, a U. It's a great design. Imitation Ultraman though, because it's already a U, I don't feel fair giving it a U because the eyes I think are worse. They're malicious on purpose, sure, but they're not as cool as original Ultraman, so he doesn't deserve the U. But he gets a nice spot in S still. It's still a good design. It's cool that they made a separate thing for a one-off basically. Albaros, he's a solid A. Him and, since they're part of the same episode, I'm just gonna group them together too. Him and Bonilla are both A's, or Vanilla. I don't know if it's Bonilla or Vanilla. They're both A's, and in that order too, I think. So they're both very standard, but I like the colors. Like if they were gray, just straight out gray, I might not have liked them as much. But because they kind of have the ice and fire going on, because they are colored to stand out a little bit better, I think the colors really do it for me, and the power sets, and yeah, they're much better than B's. Now this kaiju, when I was making this tier list, I honestly forgot that he even existed. And it's probably because he's called Hydra, which makes no sense because he's not a Hydra at all. He's a B. He's not bad. It's like, somehow, even though it's more extra than Rodan, I feel like it's a worse design than Rodan, and I don't like it. It's not as bad as these four-legged ones I hate. I'm sorry. I know probably you guys love that, but yeah, he still goes in B. This guy right here, what is his name again? Chemular. I will say I like his face design better. Okay, he'll go right here. No, Gavadon's better too. He's right there. Okay, so that's where I'm going to settle him on. I don't think that he's horrible, but I think it's kind of weird. And not weird in a good way. You know, you have weird in a good way. Like Red King, I guess. He's weird in a good way. Nah, not this one though. I'm sorry. Alright, Teleston. He's a C. Teleston isn't horrible, but he looks like how I imagine a giant naked mole rat would look. Yeah, it's really weird. I don't like the I guess the details on like his whole body, you know. I don't like it's just weird. It throws me off. I don't like it. Alright, Jamula. Jamula gets a D. It's a D. It would be a low C. You know what? Low C is fair. Let's do low C. So it's a good episode. It's a tragic episode, but he looks so... It's the same complaint I have about Zerab. Where did I put Zerab? I put him at B. But it's the same idea where it's just kind of like a square and then a body. It's just a whole lot of nothing, and I'm sure it's on purpose for the thematic reasons, but as a kaiju, I don't think it's very good. Gubila. All right, so this is Probably the first floor one I'm putting in B. Just because it looks like a narwhal. I think narwhals are crazy that they even exist in real life. So, I mean, it's really that easy for me. I'm putting him for that one reason. Guigas, not really sure. But he is going to be, I think, below. Yeah, right here in B. So he's just an abominable snowman. It's hard because Woo's in this list too. And we'll get to Woo later. Just a few more away. But I feel like he's a little too basic to be an A. Like when I think of Abominable Snowman, I think of this design. So I'm gonna have to just put him in B. Dorako. He gets an A. And I think he's better than... He might be better. Actually, he's better than all of them. I think the cracks in the suit, the outlining he has in it, is really cool. The wing colors are cool. Yeah, he deserves an A. He's pretty dang good. Red King 2. So I did include some, like Baltan 2 and Red King 2. I didn't include all of them because there's ones like Baltan 3, but they're just illusions, so I didn't really feel like... The suit wasn't insanely different anyway because they are just illusions. So I didn't really feel like that was necessary to include all of them. Red King 2 looks slightly different. I think he's actually worse though. They're so dang similar. Like, I know there's a small difference. I'll just put them next to each other. This just... I feel like he's about the same. Gamora. Gamora is S tier. No, Gamora's U tier. Yep, he's Ultra. Gamora is not super special, okay? But he is, to me, if you guys know what Monster Hunter, Rathalos and Rathian are like the prime example of when you think of Monster Hunter, you think of those two, they encapsulate it perfect. That's what Gamora is to me for Ultraman. He is a quintessential monster. You look at him, you're like, that's a kaiju, okay? He's not crazy, he doesn't have any beam attacks, but it's just, that is a kaiju. And I think for that alone, for the power he's had to last throughout the years, he deserves a U. Dada gets an S. And that's only because Agent Adada exists from the manga. Dada would be a U tier, just for the insanity of his character with the whole heads and everything too. But I think Agent Adada in the manga looks it's a take on his design, but much better. And knowing that there's a better design out there for Dada, I can't give Dada a U when I would give it to Adad. So he's staying in S. He's crazy. He's a good design. It's a weird kaiju. Goldon. I think Goldon is B. Yeah, but at the end of B. He's a little basic. Kind of just like a big clump of golden monster, Not really a big fan of the clumpy monster things. Yeah, I'll leave him be. Alright, Woo. So Woo, this is what I was talking about earlier with the other Abominable Snowman. Woo is A tier. You might be like, what the hell? So, Woo doesn't look cooler than the other guy, right? But Woo looks like he's straight from old school Rankin Bass. Like Rudolph, Santa Claus cartoons, the stop motion and all that. I think they were stop motion, I hope so. He looks like he fits out of that. And not only is that, I think, a cool design, but it's also just more unique. It's not just a plain old Abominable Snowman. It's something a little dorky, a little more kid friendly. I think that's okay. Alright. Keronia, number something. He is a solid, I don't know if he's S or A. I think he fits in perfectly right here. Yeah. He's not too crazy looking, but he is, I think, unique. And the texturing on the skin, I think, is unique too. So I think he belongs a little bit higher than a B. So he's an A for sure. Zumbolar. He is cooler for the color alone than everyone else here in C. I think the way the color accentuates on him is really good. It's probably the best out of all these four-legged ones. Yeah, I'm gonna leave him at the top of C tier. Alien Mephilas. Mephilas, despite him being like significant in the Ultra world, right? I'll give him an A. I wanted to give him a B, but I think there's enough going on with the colors and the facial structure. I think, yeah, we'll give him an A, but he's the lowest of A's. All right, he's one step away from being a B. Okay, so we're going on to Skydon next. Skydon he's basically the one we just put at the top of C tier without the colors. So I'm gonna have to knock him in front of Camular, and I just realized too that Nodonga is cooler than Camular, so I'm putting Nodonga in the front. Shibozu, the dinosaur looking bone one, that's an S. We don't really get to see much of it, but I think just having a suit that's like bones like that is cool. It's a cool idea that I think, I don't know, I haven't seen every show yet, so maybe they use him better later, but for now he's a little underutilized, but I think the suit itself is very cool. Alright, next one, Zaragas. I hate this. This is a F. Alright, let me explain. So I hate it. Okay, you know what, let's put a C. I'll put him over here. So the reason that I hate this suit isn't because I think it's bad. It's because of all the little tiny holes in his chest kind of freak me out. And not in a way that I'm like, oh, that's scary, horror, it's cool. More like, I don't want to see it, turn it off. I don't really have a fear of holes, that's a real phobia, but for some reason on this suit it really grosses me out, and I can't look at it, so I'm gonna have to. He would be an F because I really don't like it at all, but just sitting back and looking at it, I know a little bit less biased that he doesn't deserve an F, but I don't like it. Geronimon's an S. Oh, not that high though, he's at the end. He's an S. Geronimon is, I think he has a cool power set, he has a cool name, and the colors are dope, and he has a beard too, so I mean that's kind of unique. All around it's a very unique design kaiju. I think it works really well. Kyla, not sure, but either way this one is a solid B. He is, let's put him all the way up next to Bemular. He is very basic. He is the same reason I gave Bemular a B. They're just solid kaiju, but they're not really special. I think yeah, I mean that's the best way I can put it. He's just not really special, but he's still decent, so he's a B. Saigo, nah, he's a C. I don't know, it just doesn't do it for me. No, he's not very cool looking. It's pretty basic. I'm actually gonna put him even below Camular. So this, when I was making this list, I completely forgot that Alien Zedin even existed. Now I knew that Zedin right here existed, and Zedin for me is an A. He goes in front of right there. Right there. So Zedin, I think, is a decent design. I think that the sound effects makes it cool, and I think the way it fights is cool. But I think the reason I have a bias against Zedin is because I don't think he's a cool final villain. I think he's a very basic looking final villain. Yeah, that's really the only reason he's not an S for me. I think he's just too, I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me as a final villain. Now, Alien Zedin, though, what I was saying before is that I did not remember he was even in Ultraman 1966 at all. And I really hope this image is from 1966 and I'm not tripping. I thought he was unique to when they first made the anime, the manga run. So when I saw him here, I was like, what? How did I forget about that entirely? He's a U tier. He is right there with... He would be... No, he's right there with Baltan. I'd say equal. Zedin, I think, is just a perfect alien. You know, he doesn't really count in the kaiju section, sure, but he's just an alien that I think fits that mold so dang well. You look at him and you think, oh my god, that is an alien. He's gonna do something crazy with an antenna in his head. Why has he got one eye? Like, he just has everything right, I think, for an alien. And he's in a suit too, just to mess around. Like, hey, I could totally just be disguising if I want. And if we know his character from the anime and the manga too, that's why I'm also putting it so high, because he's just so much development for him. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. This is gonna have to be, I think, the final list. This is, I feel pretty confident where everything ended up. There are a lot of kaiju. I did make this list. I showed the website. Let me go up so you can see it again. Right here. This is the name of it. So if you wanted to look it up, you can do your own tier list. But yeah, I mean, this is a very different video. I've never actually been on camera before, so I know the angle is going to be a little bit weird because I'm looking at the screen, which is away from. So this is, I'm looking at the camera right now. Of course, my screen is the other way. So as I'm pushing stuff around, I'm not looking at you guys, which is a little unfortunate. So hopefully I can get something set up better for the next one. I plan to do these maybe once every 3 weeks or 4, only because making these tier lists, no one else has made these, and getting the images together for all the kaiju takes a lot of time. Making sure that it doesn't break when you upload it takes a lot of time, and upload, I mean upload the list to the website so that people can use it. And yeah, that's not something I really It takes a few hours to get all the kaiju, put them all in chronological order, and then also to resize them to be these squares that you can still see. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you guys liked the first, not only camera, but first tier list. And yeah, I plan on doing more of these just whenever I'm able to make more of these lists for 7 and then Ace and Return and all of that. So yeah, appreciate it.